Hi and welcome to my channel. So today I'm bringing you part 2 in my A to Z series. So we are on the letter B, and for this one I've decided to do a big photo. So I have this really big photo. It's nearly 12 inches wide by, let's have a look, by 8 inches. So it's 8 by nearly 12 inches. And this is from my brother's wedding. So I thought I'd challenge myself. I haven't done a big picture in quite a while. So I had a look through my stash. There's a lot of blues and greys in this layout. There's a hint of pink, and of course there's the greenery. So I had a look through my papers trying to use some older ones up. And I've pulled out this one from Pink Paisley called Memorandum, or called Desktop from the Memorandum collection. Can't remember which, but this one has got some lovely shades, quite a few different shades of blue with a little hint of green, and on the other side is a polka dot. So I'm thinking that that one is going to be my background. I've then pulled in this paper, which is from Studio Calico Milk and Sugar, and I'm thinking I may do a small border around the picture just to sort of pop that one up a little bit off that page. Not exactly sure yet, but we'll see how that goes. And then bringing in other stuff, well, it was very hard because I'm not going to be able to do too many elements with a big picture, and it was trying to think what I might want to use. So to be honest, I may well end up dipping into my stash. But for now, I've pulled out these. So I've pulled out this family. This was a wooden word. My friend got me some gorgeous wooden words when she went to the States. So I'm thinking I might use that one as my title. I have painted that up already, just because I was messing. So we'll see if that does get used. If not, it's in a very generic colour anyway. I've pulled in these Heidi Swap puffy stickers. I'm not sure whether I'm going to use them for the elements of the black, whether I'm going to use it for the gold. I'm not quite sure yet, but they were staring at me, so I've pulled those in. I've pulled in these Live More phrase stickers. I may just end up using a couple of phrases. I may end up using some of the bigger ones. Again, I'm not sure yet. I've also pulled in these really old Pink Paisley stickers. I thought the likes of these grey ones may go quite well, or maybe even some of the elements of blue. So I've pulled those in. And then I went hunting through my papers so I could bring in an accent colour that's more like my Nana's outfit. And I found this Kaiser Craft Summer Breeze paper pad. And while flicking through this, the main thing I'm thinking of using this for is this one paper. So this one paper with a leaf is as close to my Nan's outfit as I could possibly get in a paper form. So it's mainly for that sheet of paper. I may be able to use some of the others. None of them are jumping out at me though, but we will see how it goes. Maybe with some layering, maybe some of those will actually work quite well. There is a bit of course, off-white across the page. So mainly for that one, but we'll see. Excuse me. And then while I was looking, there was some very close colourings in the Simple Stories Sunshine and Happiness. Again, it was very close to that pink until I found that one, but I thought there was still some quite nice elements in there, and of course in the stickers. A little hot sticker, which it was because we were up in Queensland in the north of Australia. So I've brought in that sticker pack. Again, if not, it's got some little words. I may or may not use it. And because I brought that in, I decided to bring in the die cut pack and what I have left of that. I have no plans for this page at all, apart from maybe mounting this photo on this to give it a little bit of a border, but that's as far as I've got. So I'm going to pop you on fast forward because I'm probably going to mess about for quite a bit, but I hope you'll join me while we work with the letter B, which in this case is big photo. Speak to you all on the voiceover. So I'm going to start by backing the big photo in that paper from Studio Calico, as I've said, and I'm going to chop that down and chop my border off my background paper as well. And then a lot of it was just a matter of messing about. So I knew I wanted to use that paper with the picture of my nan. So I decided to pull out my pink circle punch from Stamping Up, as I love that punch and it's quite new. So that sort of started it. There was also a little bit of marking on the bottom of the photo, which is what made me start this little grouping to the right. So once I'd started with circles, I thought I'll see if there's any more papers that I can find that match and look nice, and created another couple more circles as well. I think I ended up using a 2 inch or maybe a 2.5 inch actually, and then a 1 3/4, I think it was. So I pulled out the die cuts from Elle's Studio but couldn't find anything that worked in there. And then I did remember that these Kaiser pads tend to have some die cuts at the back. So I've pulled out a couple to try and I've ended up settling on this long tag. It's got some brown in it, but there's also brown from the wooden decking that we're all standing on. So I liked the way that cluster at the bottom was forming, so I decided to cut some circles for the top. So I messed about with a few different sizes, but again I think I ended up with about a 2 inch and about a 1 3/4 inch. And then I started going through how I could build up on these clusters. I do keep bringing back in that wooden word with family, but I did find it was a bit too heavy and a bit too big. So at this point, that's when I started having a look at what else I could possibly use for my title. I pulled in another one of the wooden pieces that my friend had got from the States with the word love, but it wasn't quite cutting it for me. So I went through a few different packs of thickers that I've got, with all different words and stuff on to see if I could find something that would work. And some of the Maggie Holmes ones, those puffy ones I've just had out, were nice, but I wanted something that was a bit more scripty. I'm not sure whether it's just because of the wedding photo or not. So I decided to pull out my wood box and see if I could find anything in there, and I did find this little tag with the word love, which I thought would be good to use, and also a little palm tree, which worked well as well for where we were. And then I pulled out my second wood box and I actually found a more scripty word family that worked a lot better. I was a lot happier with that one. I then pulled down some Elle's Studio puffy stickers just to see if I could find something that could nestle in. So because I didn't want the word family to stay in the wood, I wanted the wood elements on the page but not in the title as well. I first tried a distress ink to see if that would work for covering the wood veneer, but it was a lot darker than it did appear on the paper. So instead I just pulled out my black and white paint and I just painted over that in like a dark grey, and then I did go over the top section of it as well in a little bit of a light grey. But I did decide to use this, I think it's Hickory Smoke Distress Ink, to do all the papers, just to help that tie in with the background. So I'm going to pop everything back now because I'm quite liking how the way this is looking. I find that it's a good go-to design feature for big photos, is just to do something in the two corners and make that, and it just works out as a nice little design feature. You don't necessarily need 3 clusters with such a big photo. I've also pulled in the little fabric This Is So Happening. I just like the greys and the different tones of greys on that. So really, if you look at the 2 clusters, I've got the grey up in the top left with This Is So Happening, and I've also got the grey with the big title of family. I've got wood veneer in both, and I've got each of those papers in both. So I really like the way that those elements drew together across the page and took your eye across the photo. So I'm now going to add in some string to that little tag, and the wood veneer tag, initially I wanted to try and tie it to the bottom loop of family. That was my initial thought when I placed it down, and I did try a few different ways here, but it just didn't work out as well as I hoped it would. So what I do end up doing is I end up undoing that, and I just loop it through the Y instead, and adhere that down that way, and I preferred that a lot better. I'm going to staple down the ends with my tiny attacher just to keep those in place in a moment, but I wanted to repeat the element up the top, so I went back to the paper pad and found a little tag, a smaller tag, which I could put a little bit of string on there as well, so I've got that element repeated in both clusters as well. So this is now where I'm just going to pop the last few bits. So I popped the good times in the black in between the family, and I've popped one that just says today at the top, and that's going to be my layout finished. So here's some close-ups. Thanks for watching, and I'll speak to you all again soon.